I collapsed during my forced coronation and woke in the arms of the enemy prince I'd sworn to destroy. Welcome back to Alpha Queen Stories. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you're ready for an epic forbidden love story. Now, let's begin. I knew the crown would kill me the moment they placed it on my head, but I never imagined it would be his face that would deliver the final blow. The weight of gold and duty presses against my skull like a physical thing, this circlet of ancient metal that my mother wore, and her mother before her, and every Frostwood queen stretching back 3 centuries. It smells of old blood and older magic, of iron and moonlight, and the tears of women who never wanted to rule but had no choice. My copper-red hair, braided with silver thread and winter berries, hangs heavy down my back. The ceremonial armor beneath my coronation gown chafes against my ribs with every breath. I can feel the leather straps cutting into my shoulders, the metal plates cold against my spine, despite the summer heat that shimmers across the sacred battlefield. This is the Field of Bones, they call it. Neutral ground between Frostwood and Warbringer territories, where the earth is still stained dark from generations of bloodshed. The grass doesn't grow right here anymore. It comes up twisted, pale green like something sickly. My bare feet, because tradition demands the new queen touch the soil of her ancestors, sink into ground that's too soft, too warm. I can feel the pulse of old magic thrumming up through my soles, traveling up my calves, settling like lead in my stomach. The full moon hangs fat and silver above us, so close I could reach up and touch it if I dared. The moon goddess watches. She always watches at coronations, especially forced ones like mine. 6 months ago, I wasn't supposed to be here. 6 months ago, my parents were alive. King Aldrich, with his booming laugh and his terrible jokes. Queen Marin with her gentle hands that could set a broken bone or slit a traitor's throat with equal grace. 6 months ago, I was in Paris, my nose buried in ancient texts, my hands stained with ink instead of blood, my heart full of a secret I thought I could keep forever. 6 months ago, I was happy. The Warbringer massacre, they call it now. Official record states that Alpha King Theron Warbringer led a surprise attack on the Frostwood Summer Palace, slaughtered my parents in their sleep, burned the West Wing to ash. 23 servants dead, 12 guards, my childhood nursemaid, the man who taught me to ride, all gone in one night while I was an ocean away, dreaming in French about a pair of silver eyes I'd never see again. They sent word by the fastest ship. I made it home in time for the mass funeral. In time to see my mother's body, so pale and still, hands folded over her heart. In time to watch my father burn on the pyre, the flames reflecting off the copper hair we shared. In time to hear Lord Castor, our chief military advisor, tell me with tears streaming down his weathered face that I was queen now whether I wanted it or not. The pack needs an alpha, he said, gripping my shoulders hard enough to bruise. The kingdom needs vengeance. You're all we have left. I didn't want the crown. I wanted books. I wanted libraries that smelled of leather and dust and possibility. I wanted to spend my days translating dead languages, piecing together the words of people long gone, finding beauty in grammar and syntax, and the way ancient poets describe love. I wanted freedom, not the kind that came with abdication, but the kind that comes from never being trapped in the first place. But they put the crown on my head anyway, and they told me the Warbringers had to pay. So here I stand, 28 years old, an alpha in name and blood and the bond I can feel thrumming beneath my skin, my wolf pacing restless and angry inside me. My council of elders forms a half-circle behind me, their ceremonial robes rustling in the hot wind that smells of coming rain. Lord Castor stands closest, his hand on the pommel of my father's sword, the one I'm meant to use tonight. The high priestess of the moon goddess, ancient and bent with silver hair falling to her knees, begins the ritual chant in the old tongue, words I studied in Paris, words about duty and sacrifice, and the sacred bond between ruler and land. I don't hear most of it. My heart beats too loud in my ears, drowning out everything but the whisper of my own thoughts. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. Across the field, the Warbringer delegation stands in mirror formation. I can smell them from here, pine smoke and mountain snow, and something wild that makes my wolf snarl in my chest. They wear black and deep forest green, the colors of their kingdom. Their banners snap in the wind, the silver wolf head snarling against dark fabric. I count 20 warriors, all alphas by the power that rolls off them in waves, all armed despite the supposed sanctity of this ceremony. Their High General Veyron stands at the front. I've seen his face in intelligence reports. Brutal, scarred, responsible for the deaths of half a dozen Frostwood soldiers in the spring campaigns. He smiles at me. It's not a kind smile. The priestess's chant reaches its crescendo. My wrist begins to burn where the royal mark sits, the crescent moon and 3 stars that appeared on my skin the moment my mother died. Alpha magic, transferred through bloodline, the mark of the moon goddess's favor, or her curse, depending on who you ask. Lord Castor presses my father's sword into my hands. The grip is worn smooth from years of use, molded to a hand larger than mine. The blade catches moonlight and throws it back silver white. I can see my reflection in the steel, copper hair wild despite the braids, green eyes too wide, face too pale. I look like a girl playing dress-up in her mother's clothes, not a queen ready to end a war. The prisoner, the priestess intones, her voice carrying across the field like thunder. Bring forth the Warbringer Prince. This is the moment. This is what they've been building toward for 6 months of mourning and rage and preparation. Justice, Lord Castor calls it. Vengeance, the warriors call it. Murder, I think, but I don't say it out loud. The ancient rite demands it. The new ruler must prove their strength by executing an enemy of equal rank, preferably the heir to the enemy throne, preferably in single combat on sacred ground beneath the full moon, while both kingdoms watch. Blood for blood, life for life, the scales of cosmic justice balanced in violence. They never asked if I wanted to kill anyone. I watch as Warbringer guards, 2 massive alphas in black leather armor, drag someone onto the field. The prisoner's hands are bound behind his back with silver chains that burn against shifter skin. He's on his knees, head bowed, dark hair falling forward to hide his face. He wears simple black clothing, torn and blood-stained. They've beaten him, I realize with a sick lurch in my stomach. There are bruises mottling his bare arms, cuts across his back visible through the shredded shirt. Something in my chest pulls tight. My wolf, who's been snarling and pacing, goes suddenly, eerily still. The guards force him forward, chains rattling with each jerking step. 50 feet away, 40, 30. My hands are shaking so badly the sword wavers, moonlight sliding along the blade like water. I can hear my heartbeat, loud and arrhythmic, can feel sweat sliding down my spine beneath the armor. The air tastes like copper and magic, and something else, something I can't name, something that makes every hair on my body stand on end. 20 feet, 15, 10. Lord Castor leans close, his breath hot against my ear. Throat or heart, your majesty. Make it clean, make it quick. Show them we're not savages. But we are, I think. We're wolves pretending to be civilized, wearing crowns and calling it culture. We're savages in silk, and this ritual murder disguised as justice proves it. 5 feet away now, close enough that I can see the rise and fall of his chest, can hear his labored breathing, can smell blood and sweat, and beneath it all something else, something familiar, something impossible. The guards force him to his knees directly in front of me. The chains binding his wrists glow faintly silver in the moonlight, etched with runes meant to suppress shifter strength. His head stays bowed, dark hair obscuring his face. Look at her, General Veyron commands, his voice sharp as broken glass. Look at the queen who will take your life, Prince Thorn. Thorn. The name hits me like a physical blow. Thorn. No, it's a common enough name. There must be dozens of Thorns in the Warbringer pack. Hundreds. It doesn't mean anything. It can't mean anything. But my wolf knows. My wolf has gone absolutely silent, which is worse than snarling, worse than anything. I said, look at her, Veyron snarls, and one of the guards grabs a fistful of the prisoner's hair, yanking his head back. The world stops. Silver eyes. Not gray, not blue, but true silver like moonlight on water. Dark hair that falls in messy waves, longer than it was 3 years ago, but unmistakable. High cheekbones, a strong jaw, a mouth I've kissed 1,000 times in dreams. And there, just below his left jawbone, a small scar, the one he got falling off a horse as a child, the one he told me about that night in Paris when we lay tangled together in sheets that smelled of lavender and sin, the one I traced with my fingertips while he whispered promises neither of us could keep. Thorn, my Thorn, not mine, never really mine, but the man I fell in love with in the dusty archives of a Parisian convent school, where we both hid from our real lives. The man who made me laugh with terrible jokes about Latin conjugations. The man who could read ancient Greek like poetry and made love like prayer. The man who called me mon coeur and held me while I cried about the weight of expectations I couldn't explain, because I never told him who I really was. The man wearing the Warbringer crest burned into his torn shirt. The man I am meant to kill. His silver eyes widen. Recognition crashes across his face like a wave. Shock, then horror, then something that looks unbearably like grief. His lips form my name, the false name I gave him that summer, but no sound comes out, and then it happens. The mate bond, the thing I didn't know existed, the thing the moon goddess saves for her cruelest jokes, slams into place between us like a blade through my chest. The mark on my wrist explodes into white-hot pain, burning so bright I can see it through my closed eyelids. An answering mark flares to life on Thorn's wrist, visible even beneath the silver chains. The same crescent moon, the same 3 stars, but connected now by a line of golden light that stretches between us, binding us together in a way that cannot be undone. Fated mates, the moon goddess's prophecy, the one whispered about in ancient texts, the one that hasn't manifested in 300 years. When 2 alphas of enemy blood are bound by the goddess, the kingdoms will unite, and the false shepherds will fall. I'm staring at the man I love, the man I'm destined for, the man whose pack murdered my parents, the man I am supposed to execute in approximately 90 seconds, and every cell in my body is screaming, mine, 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 while my mind fractures into 1,000 pieces of impossible understanding. The sword falls from my hands. The clang of steel on stone is very loud in the sudden silence. No, I whisper. My voice sounds wrong, broken. No, not him. Anyone but him. Thorn's eyes are full of tears. Anya, he breathes. And it's my real name, the one I never told him, the one he somehow knows now through the bond that's tearing us both apart. Anya, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. The bond pulls tighter. I can feel everything he feels. The despair, the love, the resignation, the desperate hope that maybe, somehow, this can be fixed. I can smell his scent more clearly now, beneath the blood and fear, pine and winter, and something uniquely him that makes me want to step forward, to touch him, to wrap myself around him and never let go. But he killed my parents. But he's my mate. But I have a duty. But I love him. The thoughts chase each other in circles, faster and faster, until I can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything but stand here shaking while 200 shifters watch me fall apart in the moonlight. Lord Castor's hand closes around my arm. Your Majesty, he says urgently. Your Majesty, you must complete the ritual. The bond is new. It can be rejected. You can break it. You must break it. Execute him now, before. She will do no such thing, comes a voice from the Warbringer side, and General Veyron is striding across the field, hand on his sword. The mate bond is sacred. Even you Frostwood savages cannot deny it. If she kills him now, she violates the oldest laws of the goddess. She will be forsworn, cursed. He killed her parents! Lord Castor roars back. He led the massacre. Justice demands. I was in Paris when they died. Thorn's voice cuts through the chaos, raw and desperate. I was in Paris. I was with her. I came home to find my father dead, my kingdom in mourning, and your people blamed for it. The words don't make sense. His father dead? When? How? The pain in my wrist is spreading, climbing up my arm, into my chest, wrapping around my heart like thorns. The mate bond, newly formed and already straining, screams at me to go to him, to protect him, to choose him over everything else. Every instinct I have as an alpha and a wolf demands I claim what's mine. But he's not mine. He's my enemy. He's the reason my mother will never see me married, will never hold my children, will never tell me again that I'm braver than I think, except he was in Paris, with me, when it happened. The world tilts sideways. My vision blurs at the edges. I can hear people shouting, Lord Castor, General Veyron, the priestess trying to restore order, my own council calling for answers, but it all sounds very far away, like I'm underwater, like I'm drowning in air that's suddenly too thick to breathe. Thorn is struggling against the guards, trying to stand, trying to reach me. The silver chains cut into his wrists, drawing blood. Anya, he shouts. Anya, listen to me. I didn't kill them. We were together. We were... But I can't listen, can't think, can't process any of this. My last coherent thought before the darkness takes me. This will destroy me. One way or another, this will destroy everything. The ground rushes up to meet me. I hear Thorn scream my name, feel the mate bond stretch taut as I fall, smell blood and magic, and the scent of the man who is either my salvation or my damnation. And then there's nothing but black. When I opened my eyes, I was no longer on the battlefield. I was in his arms, and he was crying. I wake to the feeling of being held, which is wrong, because no one has held me since my mother died, since I became queen, since I learned that touch is a luxury warriors cannot afford. But these arms around me are strong and careful, cradling me against a chest that rises and falls with breathing I can feel through the mate bond like it's my own. The scent surrounds me, pine and winter and something darker, something that smells like home even though it shouldn't, even though this man is supposed to be my enemy. My eyes flutter open. Canvas ceiling, the golden light of oil lamps, the smell of healing herbs, lavender and sage and something bitter I can't name. A tent, I realize. Neutral ground. Neither Frostwood nor Warbringer territory, but the space between where truces are negotiated and prisoners are exchanged, and sometimes, very rarely, peace is discussed. And Thorn, holding me like I'm made of glass that might shatter if he lets go. His silver eyes are red-rimmed, his face wet with tears that cut tracks through the dirt, and blood still smeared on his cheeks. He's sitting on the ground with his back against a tent pole, and I'm in his lap, tucked against him in a way that should feel vulnerable, but instead feels inevitable. The silver chains are gone from his wrists. In their place, the mate bond mark glows softly, the crescent moon and 3 stars connected by a line of golden light that stretches to my own wrist, binding us together in a way that makes my wolf purr with satisfaction, even as my mind screams danger. "You're awake," he breathes, and his voice breaks on the words. "Thank the goddess you're awake. I thought, when you collapsed, I thought the bond..." He can't finish, just holds me tighter, his face pressed into my hair. I should push him away, should demand answers, should remember that 6 months ago his people killed mine, or mine killed his, or someone killed everyone we loved, and now we're supposed to hate each other unto death. But the mate bond hums between us like a living thing, and I can feel what he feels. The terror when I fell, the relief now, the love that's been growing for 3 years in the dark places neither of us talks about. It's overwhelming, this connection, like suddenly having access to another person's soul, like being turned inside out and finding someone else living in your skin. "How long?" My voice comes out rough, unused. 2 hours. They brought us here while they argued. His arms tighten fractionally. "Anya. God, Anya. I looked for you. After Paris, I looked everywhere. I sent letters to every convent in France, every library, every..." His breath hitches. I never stopped looking. Something cracks open in my chest. "I didn't know where to look. You never told me your real name. I called you Ash," he says softly, "because I felt like everything in my life had burned down except you. You called yourself Ilara, after the constellation. After the stars I used to count through my bedroom window as a child, when the weight of being a princess felt too heavy, and the only freedom I had was in my own mind. I didn't want you to know who I was. I wanted to just be a girl. Not an heir, not a weapon, just someone who loved old books and terrible jokes about Latin grammar. You were terrible at conjugating in the pluperfect tense," he murmurs against my hair, and I can hear the smile in his voice even through the tears. "You were worse at ancient Greek." The memory hits me sudden and sharp. The 2 of us bent over a manuscript in the convent library, afternoon light slanting through stained glass windows, his shoulder brushing mine as he pointed to a phrase he couldn't translate. The way my heart had jumped when he smiled at me, crooked and warm, the way everything had felt possible when I was with him, like the future could be something other than duty and crown, and the slow suffocation of expectations. The tent flap rustles. I tense immediately, trying to pull away from Thorn, but he holds me in place with gentle insistence. "Don't," he says quietly. "The bond is visible. Everyone can see it. There's no point in pretending." A woman enters, mid-40s, Beta by the scent of her, wearing the robes of a healer. She carries a tray with water, bread, some kind of herbal tea that steams in the lamplight. "Your Majesties," she says, bowing to both of us with careful neutrality. "I am Healer Maris. I've been instructed to ensure you're both Stable. Where are the councils? I ask, finally managing to extract myself from Thorn's arms. The distance immediately feels wrong. The mate bond stretches thin between us, pulling like a rope tied too tight. I can see him wince, feel the echo of discomfort in my own chest. Arguing, Maris says bluntly, setting the tray down on a low table. Lord Castor wants you to reject the bond. General Veyron wants Prince Thorn to reject it. The High Priestess is trying to explain that rejecting a prophesied mate bond of this magnitude would kill you both, but she shrugs helplessly. Politics care little for prophecy. The prophecy, Thorn says, his voice tight, the United Kingdoms. No one's seen that manifestation in 300 years. Because there hasn't been a fated mate bond between enemy pack heirs in 300 years, Maris says. She pours tea into 2 cups, hands one to each of us. The moon goddess chooses her moments carefully. Drink. It will help with the bond sickness, the nausea, the disorientation. You're both newly marked. The first 48 hours are always difficult. I take the cup because I don't know what else to do. The tea smells of mint and something sweeter. Honey, maybe. Thorn drinks his without question, and I can feel through the bond that he trusts this woman. She's been his family's healer for years, delivered him when he was born, set his broken arm when he fell from a tree at 7, knew his mother before. The thought cuts off abruptly. His mother, dead now, like mine. Both our mothers dead. Both our fathers dead. Both of us orphaned on the same night while we were an ocean away, tangled in sheets and promises. They've given you 48 hours, Maris says quietly, to decide. Accept the bond fully, undergo the formal claiming and unify the kingdoms, or reject it. She doesn't say the rest. Doesn't need to. We'll both be dead before the 3rd sunrise. I want to speak to my council, I say. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. Lord Castor, the elders, they need to hear— No. Thorn's voice cuts across mine, sharp with an alpha command that makes my wolf bristle. He must feel it through the bond, because he immediately softens his tone. Anya, please, before we let them back in, before we make any decisions, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. I set the tea down untouched. Turn to face him fully for the first time since I woke. He's still on the ground, but he's shifted to sit cross-legged, his torn shirt hanging open enough that I can see the bruises mottling his ribs, the cuts across his shoulders. They beat him before the execution, prepared him for death like a sacrifice. My stomach turns. Talk, I say. He takes a breath, lets it out slow. I didn't kill your parents. So you said. You were in Paris. With me. The words taste like ash. Convenient. You know it's true. His silver eyes hold mine, steady despite the pain I can see lurking there. You can feel it through the bond. I can't lie to you anymore. You'd know. He's right. The mate bond is many things, but subtle isn't one of them. I can feel his emotions like a second heartbeat. The grief, the confusion, the desperate need for me to believe him. The night of August 15th, he says quietly. 3 years ago, you and I were in the library. You'd stayed late to finish translating that passage from the Codex Argentum, the one about the moon goddess and her first children. I brought wine I'd stolen from the rector's private stock. We drank too much, and you laughed at my terrible pronunciation of ancient Elvish. And then you kissed me, and his voice drops lower. We made love on the reading room floor, and you fell asleep in my arms while I counted the freckles on your shoulders. 37. I memorized them like poetry. My face burns. The memory is vivid, visceral. His hands on my skin, the way he'd whispered my false name like a prayer, the taste of wine and want. That doesn't prove anything. That same night your parents were killed. My father was killed. Both attacks supposedly orchestrated by the opposite side. Both heirs conveniently absent, far enough away to have perfect alibis. He leans forward, intensity radiating off him. Anya, think. Who benefits from this war? Your pack. You've been winning. Taking territory, resources. We've been dying, he interrupts. Hundreds dead. Our northern border is a graveyard. Your people have given as good as they've gotten. This war has bled both kingdoms white. He runs a hand through his dark hair, frustrated. No one is winning, except the people who profit from war itself, I finish slowly. The thought has occurred to me before, in the dark hours when I couldn't sleep, when the weight of the crown felt like it was crushing my skull. But Lord Castor had always dismissed it. The Warbringers killed your parents, he'd said. Vengeance is not a luxury. It's a duty. Thorn nods. After my father died, General Veyron took command. He's been pushing for total war ever since. Refuses every peace overture, every attempt at negotiation. It's always more battles, more blood, more. Lord Castor does the same. I breathe. He says peace is surrender, that the warbringers will see any attempt at treaty as weakness. We stare at each other as the implications settle between us like stones. Someone wanted us both orphaned, Thorn says. Someone wanted us both angry and grieving and ready to kill. Someone wanted this war to continue. But who would... I stop, because the answer is obvious, isn't it? Who stands to gain from two kingdoms locked in eternal conflict? The military advisors who accumulate power while the heirs are too young or too traumatized to rule effectively. The council members who make fortunes supplying armies. The generals who would be nothing without a war to fight. We need proof, I say. We need to be alive long enough to find it. Thorn reaches out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I don't, his hand closes over mine. The mate bond flares at the contact, sending warmth racing up my arm, pooling in my chest. The bond. If we accept it fully, they can't touch us. The moon goddess's mark protects against assassination, betrayal by one's own pack. It's ancient law. Even Castor and Veyron can't break it without being forsworn. But it would mean claiming you. The word feels heavy. A claiming isn't just a ceremony. It's a binding, a physical and magical union that cannot be undone. It would mean marking each other, accepting each other as mates before both packs, uniting the kingdoms under joint rule. It would mean giving up any chance of choosing a different path, a different future. It would mean admitting that the moon goddess chose better than I ever could have. Would that be so terrible? His voice is soft, careful, being bound to someone who already knows how you take your tea, who's memorized the sound of your laugh, who would die before letting harm come to you. My throat tightens. You don't know me. Not really. You knew Alara, a girl who doesn't exist anymore. The word catches. I'm a killer now, Thorn. I've led armies. I've made decisions that cost lives. I'm not the naive student you fell in love with in Paris. You were never naive. His thumb traces circles on my palm, sending shivers through me. You were brave enough to hide who you were so you could be free for just a little while. Brave enough to love me even though you knew you'd have to leave. Brave enough to keep surviving when everything you loved was taken from you. His silver eyes are fierce. I know exactly who you are, Anya Frostwood. I've known since the moment I saw you step onto that battlefield wearing your mother's crown and your father's grief. And I love you more now than I did then. The tent feels too small suddenly, too warm. I can smell him, really smell him, now that the bond is fully manifested. Pine and snow and underneath it all, something uniquely Thorn that makes my wolf want to roll in his scent, to mark him, to claim him as ours in every way that matters. We should look at the reports, I say, pulling my hand away before I do something stupid. If Castor was involved in your father's death, there will be evidence. Paper trails, witness statements, something. Thorn nods, though I can feel his disappointment through the bond. Maris, can you bring us the official death reports? Both kingdoms. The healer bows and slips out, leaving us alone again. The silence stretches. I should use this time to think, to plan, to figure out how to survive the next 48 hours. Instead, I find myself asking, why languages? Why ancient texts? He looks surprised by the question. Then a small smile touches his lips. The first real smile I've seen since I recognized him. My mother. She was a scholar before she was queen. She used to read me bedtime stories in Latin, Greek, Old Elvish. She said words were power, that understanding where language came from helped you understand where people came from. His expression softens with memory. She died when I was 15. Car accident. Very ordinary, very sudden. My father never recovered. I think studying languages was my way of keeping her alive, of hearing her voice in every translation. My chest aches. My mother taught me to fight. She said queens who couldn't defend themselves would always be prisoners, even on their own thrones. But she also taught me that the strongest weapon was knowledge. She made me memorize the genealogies of every noble house, the history of every alliance and betrayal. I swallow hard. I studied languages because it was the one thing she approved of that I actually enjoyed, the one place where duty and desire overlapped. We're more alike than we should be, Thorn says quietly. We're not alike. I stop. What is he? My enemy? That doesn't feel true anymore. The man who killed my parents? The bond says no, and despite everything, I believe it. A stranger? Impossible when I can feel his emotions like my own, when I know the taste of his kiss, the sound of his breathing when he sleeps. I'm your mate, he finishes, and you're mine. Everything else is just details we need to survive long enough to figure out. Maris returns with a leather satchel full of documents. She spreads them across the low table. Official reports stamped with royal seals, witness statements, guard logs, correspondence, the accumulated paperwork of 2 royal murders. Thorn and I lean over the documents together, shoulders touching. Every point of contact sends heat through the bond, making it hard to concentrate. I force myself to focus on the dates, the times, the names. Here, Thorn says, pointing to a guard log from the Warbringer Palace. My father's personal detail that night. 6 guards. 5 I knew personally. But this name, his finger taps one line. Colonel Marcus Thane. I've never heard of him. I pull over a document from my own stack. The security report from the night my parents died. 3 guards survived the attack on the Frostwood Summer Palace. 2 died in hospital afterward. The 3rd, my blood runs cold. The 3rd was transferred to the capital to give testimony to the council. His name was Marcus Thane. We stare at each other. The same man was in both palaces, I whisper. The same man was present when both our parents died. Thorn is already shuffling through more papers. Who interviewed him? Who took his statement? I scan the Frostwood report, feel my stomach drop. Lord Castor. He personally debriefed the surviving guard. I look up at Thorn. Who debriefed your witness? His face has gone pale. General Veyron. The pieces slot together with horrible clarity. Marcus Thane. A hired assassin, probably. Or a mercenary willing to serve the highest bidder. Present at both scenes. Debriefed by the same 2 men who have been pushing for endless war ever since. The same 2 men who are now demanding we reject the mate bond. Who want us both dead before we can uncover the truth. We need to get this to the High Priestess, I say. Neutral authority. She can call for an investigation. No one will believe us. Thorn's voice is grim. We're the enemy heirs who suddenly claim to be fated mates. Of course we'd invent a conspiracy to save ourselves. They'll say the bond has driven us mad, that we're seeing patterns that don't exist. He's right, which means we need more than suspicion. We need proof solid enough that even Castor and Veyron can't explain it away. There has to be more, I mutter, sorting through papers. Letters between council members, supply orders, guard rotations, the mundane bureaucracy of kingdoms at war, financial records. If they've been profiting from this, there will be money trails, weapons contracts, kickbacks from... The tent flap opens. A servant enters, young beta male, wearing Frostwood colors. He bows low, presenting a tray with a pitcher of water and fresh cups. Your Majesty, the council sent refreshment. They know you must be... fatigued. Something in his tone is wrong. Too careful. Too rehearsed. Thorn feels it too. I sense his wariness through the bond, the way his body tenses. But I'm thirsty, and the tea Maris gave us is long since cold, and it's just water. I pour myself a cup, raise it to my lips. Thorn's hand shoots out, knocking the cup away. It shatters against the tent pole, water soaking into the canvas floor. What are you? I start. The smell, he growls. His eyes are fixed on the servant, who has gone very still. Belladonna. Just a trace, but it's there. The servant bolts. Thorn is after him in a heartbeat, but the boy is fast, slipping through the tent flap and disappearing into the night beyond. I'm staring at the spilled water, at the shattered cup, at the death that was offered to me dressed as kindness. My hands are shaking. Belladonna, deadly nightshade, tasteless in water, would have killed me within the hour. Anya, Thorn is back, his hands on my shoulders. Anya, look at me. You're safe. I've got you. But I'm not safe. Neither of us is. Because someone just tried to poison me, and there's only one person who could have ordered it. Only one person who had access to that servant, who knew we were reviewing documents, who needed us dead before we found proof of the conspiracy. As if summoned by my thoughts, I hear a voice outside the tent, low, familiar, speaking to someone in urgent tones. The bond must be broken before it's too late. Kill them both if you must, but do it tonight. Once they present evidence to the priestess, we're finished. Lord Castor, my trusted advisor, my father's oldest friend, the man who held me while I cried over my parents' graves, the man who murdered them. My vision blurs at the edges. I can feel the belladonna even though I didn't drink it. Or maybe it's just shock, the sudden understanding of how deep the betrayal goes. My knees give out. Thorn catches me. always catches me, but this time I can't stop falling. The darkness is rising up again, not from the bond, but from the simple, horrible truth that I've been lied to for 6 months, that I've been a puppet for the man who killed my mother. "Anya, stay with me," Thorn is saying, but his voice sounds far away. "Stay with me, please, don't." The tent flap opens. Torchlight, Lord Castor's silhouette against the night. He sees us, sees me collapsing in Thorn's arms, and I watch his expression shift from concern to cold calculation. "Your Majesty," he says, and there's no warmth in it now, no pretense of care. "I'm afraid you've uncovered something you shouldn't have. Guards, take them both." The last thing I see before the darkness takes me completely is Thorn snarling, shifting, fighting to protect me even as silver chains wrap around his wrists again. The last thing I feel is the mate bond stretching thin, so thin, as they tear us apart. The last thing I think is, we're going to die, and we never even got to say goodbye. Pain wakes me this time, not warmth. Silver burns against my wrists, my ankles, across my throat like a collar made of stars and agony. The chains are heavy, the metal etched with runes that suppress shifter strength, that keep my wolf caged and snarling uselessly inside me. I can smell my own blood where the silver has eaten through skin, can taste copper and bile, and the bitter residue of whatever drug they used to keep me unconscious. The dungeon beneath Frostwood Castle. I know these stones. I used to play here as a child, hiding in the corridors while my mother searched for me, her laughter echoing off walls that now press in like a tomb. The air is thick with damp and rot and old death, the kind that seeps into bones and never quite washes clean. Torchlight flickers somewhere beyond my cell, throwing shadows that dance like demons. "Anya," Thorn's voice, rough with pain. "Anya, can you hear me?" I turn my head. Even that small movement makes the collar bite deeper, and see him chained to the opposite wall. His shirt is gone, his chest marked with fresh bruises, new cuts that ooze blood down his ribs. The mate bond between us is muted, smothered under layers of silver and magic, but I can still feel him there, still feel his fear, his rage, his desperate need to reach me. I'm here, I manage. My throat is raw, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm okay." "You're not okay. None of this is okay." He pulls against his chains, and the silver hisses where it touches his skin, smoke rising from burned flesh. "When I get free, when I get my hands on Castor, you'll do nothing," comes a voice from beyond the bars. Lord Castor steps into view, and I barely recognize him. The grandfatherly warmth is gone, replaced by something cold and calculating that makes my wolf whimper. Behind him, General Veyron looms like a shadow, his scarred face twisted with satisfaction. "You'll both be dead by dawn." Quite tragic, really. The mate bond drove you mad, made you turn on your own people. We'll tell them you killed each other in a final desperate struggle. Romeo and Juliet, but with more blood and less poetry. You killed them. The words scrape out of me, rough as broken glass. You killed my parents, my mother who trusted you, my father who called you friend. I did what was necessary. Castor's tone is almost bored. He pulls up a stool, sits like we're having tea instead of discussing murder. Your parents were weak, Anya. Both sets of them. They wanted peace. Can you imagine? Peace between Frostwood and Warbringer. Centuries of profitable conflict. Ended because they decided to be friends. He spits the word like it's poisonous. King Aldrich and King Theron were planning a treaty. A marriage alliance, actually. You and the Warbringer heir. He gestures at Thorn with casual contempt. They were going to announce it when you both returned from Paris. Thought they were so clever, sending you both away to the same city, letting you accidentally meet. They wanted you to fall in love naturally, to choose each other without the pressure of duty. The revelation hits like a fist to the stomach. My parents knew. They sent me to Paris knowing Thorn would be there. They orchestrated our meeting, hoping. They wanted us together, Thorn breathes. His silver eyes are wide with understanding and grief. My father kept encouraging me to go to the library, to study languages. He said it would be good for diplomacy, good for... His voice breaks. He wanted me to meet you. And you did. How touching. Castor stands, pacing now. You fell in love exactly as planned, which would have been fine, except you were both heirs, both alphas, both strong enough to actually unite the kingdoms and end the most profitable war in 3 centuries. He stops in front of my cell, his eyes empty of anything resembling humanity. Do you have any idea how much money flows through warfare? Weapons contracts, supply lines, reconstruction after battles. I've built an empire on the back of this conflict. Veyron has too. We have investors, Anya. Powerful people in both kingdoms who profit from keeping you all at each other's throats. So you killed them, I whisper. You murdered 4 people to protect your investments. I killed 4 obstacles. He shrugs, and framed it perfectly. The Warbringers blamed Frostwood. Frostwood blamed the Warbringers. You and young Thorn came home to find your parents dead, and your kingdoms baying for blood. Paris was the perfect alibi. Neither of you could have done it, but both of you were conveniently absent when it mattered. His smile is reptilian. I sent you to Paris specifically so you'd have each other to blame. I knew the heirs would never look past their grief to see the truth. But you didn't count on the mate bond. Thorn's voice is deadly quiet. No, Veyron admits, speaking for the first time. His voice is like gravel. That was unexpected. The prophecy, we thought it was legend. No one has manifested the United Kingdom's mark in 300 years. But there you were on that battlefield, glowing like fucking beacons, and suddenly our careful plans were unraveling. The moon goddess chose us. My chains rattle as I try to sit up straighter. You can't fight destiny, can I? Castor crouches down until we're eye level. In about 3 hours, both councils will convene on the Coronation field. I'll announce that you both went mad from the forced bond, that you attacked your own people, that we had no choice but to execute you for treason. I'll present puppet rulers, distant cousins, easily controlled. The war will continue. My fortune will grow, and you'll both be nothing but a cautionary tale about the dangers of forbidden love. The councils won't believe you, Thorn snarls. They will when I show them Captain Alara's corpse. Loyal to the end, that one. Tried to break you out. Had to put her down. Castor stands, brushing off his knees. Any other allies you might have had are being dealt with as we speak. You're alone, chained, drugged, and in 3 hours, you'll be dead. He turns to leave. Veyron follows. The torchlight dims as they climb the stairs, their footsteps echoing into silence. I wait until I can't hear them anymore. Then I look at Thorn. The bond, I say quietly. Can you feel it? Barely. The silver is suppressing it, but it's still there. I close my eyes, reaching for that golden thread that connects us. It's thin, strained, but intact. In Paris, that night in the library, you said mate bonds can share strength. Between claimed mates, yes, but we haven't completed the claiming. We're mates. My voice is steady now, certain. The goddess chose us. She marked us. The ceremony doesn't matter. The bond is real. I open my eyes, meet his silver gaze across the cell. So share your strength with me, and I'll share mine with you. 2 alphas are stronger than 1. I see understanding dawn on his face, then determination. He closes his eyes, and I feel him reach through the bond, pushing past the silver suppression, the drugs, the pain. His strength flows into me like sunlight, like fire, and I push my own back to him. The mate bond flares between us, golden light beginning to glow beneath the silver chains. The metal starts to smoke. I pull against my chains, feel them strain. The silver burns hotter, brighter, but the bond burns hotter still. Thorn is pulling too, both of us channeling everything we have into breaking free. The runes etched into the metal begin to crack, the suppression magic fracturing under the combined force of 2 bonded alphas who refuse to die in the dark. My right wrist chain snaps, then my left. The collar around my throat shatters, pieces of silver falling like broken stars. Across the cell, Thorn breaks free too, chains clattering to stone as he surges to his feet. The cell door is locked, but it's just iron. No magic, no runes. I shift, not fully, just enough that my wolf strength floods my human form, and kick. The hinges scream. Second kick, and the door crashes open. Thorn is already out of his cell. We meet in the corridor, and for 1 heartbeat we just stare at each other. Bloody, burned, barely standing, but free. We need weapons, he says. I know where the armory is. I take his hand. The mate bond sings at the contact, already healing the worst of the silver burns. Follow me. We run through corridors I memorized as a child, past empty cells, past guard stations where bodies lie slumped. Castor's work, eliminating witnesses. The castle above is silent, Everyone gathered at the coronation field for the announcement. Everyone except Anya. Captain Alara stumbles around the corner, her armor dented, blood streaming from a cut above her eye. She's alive. Thank the goddess, she's alive. Alara, I catch her before she falls. Castor said you were dead. He tried. She bares her teeth in something that might be a smile. Bastard underestimated me. I've suspected him for months, Your Majesty. The way he pushed for war. The way he always had an answer when peace was suggested. I've been gathering evidence, but I couldn't prove. We have proof. Thorn is searching the bodies, pulling weapons. He tosses me a sword, keeps a wicked-looking knife for himself. Marcus Thane. Financial records. Correspondence between Castor and Veyron. It's all documented. Then we need to reach the coronation field before they can kill those documents too. Alara straightens, wincing. Your Majesty, there's one more thing. The dungeons. Deep level. When I was investigating, I found a sound from the shadows. Someone moving. We all freeze, weapons ready. A man emerges. Thin, pale, with silver eyes like thorns. Younger, maybe mid-20s. He's wearing rags, his wrists scarred from old chains. Kieran? Thorn's voice breaks. Kieran, I thought you were dead. At the Battle of Silver Creek, they said. They lied. The young man, Kieran, Thorn's brother, sways on his feet. Veyron captured me, kept me down here for leverage, in case you ever got too close to the truth. He looks at me, at the mate bond glowing between Thorn and me, and understanding crosses his face. The prophecy. You're the Frostwood heir. You're his mate. I am. I glance at Thorn. Can you travel? I can fight. Kieran's smile is sharp. Just point me at the bastard who's been torturing me for 6 months. We arm him. Alara produces a map showing Castor's planned route to the coronation field. We have maybe 2 hours before the execution announcement. 2 hours to gather evidence, reach the field, expose the conspiracy before we're declared traitors and hunted down. We make it halfway up the dungeon stairs before I have to stop. The nausea hits sudden and overwhelming. My vision swimming. I reach for the wall to steady myself, but my knees buckle. Thorn catches me. Anya, what's wrong? I don't. The world spins. My wolf is restless, agitated in a way that has nothing to do with danger. My senses are overwhelming. Every smell too sharp, every sound too loud. I think the drugs, or the silver. Something's wrong. We need to keep moving, Alara says urgently. I can't. I hate the words, hate the weakness they represent. I need a minute. I throw up, right there on the dungeon stairs, my body rejecting whatever they drugged me with. Thorn holds my hair back, his hand steady on my spine. When I finally stop retching, I'm shaking so hard I can barely stand. There's a village healer, Kieran says quietly. Half-mile north. She's loyal to the old ways, to the goddess. She'll help. We have no choice. I can't fight like this. Can't even walk straight. We slip out through the servants' entrance, through gardens I used to play in, past walls that hold a lifetime of memories. The pre-dawn air is cool against my feverish skin. Thorn supports most of my weight, the mate bond between us pulsing with his worry. The healer's cottage sits at the forest edge, marked by bundles of drying herbs and the symbol of the moon goddess carved above the door. Kieran knocks. 3 quick, 2 slow. A code. The door opens immediately. The woman who answers is ancient, her face a map of wrinkles, her eyes sharp as broken glass. She takes one look at me and steps aside. Bring her in, quickly. They lay me on a bed that smells of lavender and sage. The healer's hands are gentle as she examines me, pressing on my abdomen, checking my pulse, studying my eyes. The silver didn't cause this, she says finally, nor the drugs, though they certainly didn't help. She looks at Thorn. How long have you been bonded? 3 days, but we haven't completed the claiming. We haven't. That's not what I asked. The healer's tone is knowing. How long ago were you together? Intimately? Thorn's face goes carefully blank. 3 years. In Paris. We had one night before we had to return to our kingdoms. The healer nods slowly, looks at me. Your Majesty, when was your last heat cycle? The question seems irrelevant, but I answer anyway. 4 months ago. Maybe 5. I've been under so much stress since my parents died that my cycles have been irregular. Why does... I stop. Because the healer is smiling, and Thorn has gone very still beside me, and suddenly I understand what she's about to say even before the words leave her mouth. You're pregnant, Your Majesty. Approximately 3 months along. The babe is healthy, growing strong. The nausea, the heightened senses, the weakness, All normal for early pregnancy in an alpha female. The world stops. Pregnant. 3 months. From Paris. I'm carrying Thorn's child, the heir to both kingdoms. The living proof of our mate bond. The symbol of peace that doesn't exist yet. No, I whisper. That's not. We were careful. We used. The moon goddess's will cannot be denied, the healer says gently. When true mates come together, sometimes a child is the result. This baby is destiny, Your Majesty. As much as the bond that connects you. I can't breathe. Can't think. I'm 28 years old. I've been queen for 6 months. I'm about to ride into battle against the man who murdered my parents. And I'm pregnant with my enemy's child. Except he's not my enemy. He's my mate. And nothing makes sense anymore. Anya. Thorn's voice is soft. When I look at him, his silver eyes are full of tears. Anya, don't. I hold up a hand. Need space. Need air. Need to process this impossible thing. Just don't. But he doesn't listen. He drops to his knees beside the bed. Takes my hand in both of his. I know this isn't how we planned it. I know the timing is terrible. But Anya, his voice breaks. We made a life together. You're carrying our child. Our child. That's everything. That's a target. The words come out harsh. Castor will kill this baby the moment he knows it exists. He'll kill both of us and rip this child from my body before it can ever threaten his power. Then we don't tell him. Kieran speaks from the doorway. We keep it secret until we've won. Until we've exposed him and ended this. I can't fight pregnant. Panic is rising in my chest, threatening to choke me. I can't shift fully. Can't risk the baby. I'm a liability now. You're pregnant, not dead. Alara's voice cuts through my spiral. Your Majesty, I've watched you lead armies while barely holding yourself together after your parents died. You think carrying life makes you weak? You think motherhood is surrender? She steps closer, her expression fierce. You're not fragile because you're pregnant. You're dangerous because now you have even more reason to win. She's right. Thorn squeezes my hand. You're not weak. I can't protect them both. My voice cracks. The baby and the kingdom. If I fight, I risk losing our child. If I hide, I risk losing everything our parents tried to build. I can't. You're not alone. He cups my face, forces me to look at him. We protect each other. That's what mates do. That's what the bond is for. You want to fight? Then we fight together. You want to hide and keep the baby safe? Then we hide together. But don't for 1 second think you have to choose between being a warrior and being a mother. You're both. You've always been both. I stare at him. At this man I've known for 3 years and 3 days. At the father of my child. At my mate. I am not weak because I carry life, I say slowly, testing the words. I am twice as dangerous because now I fight for 3. 3, Thorn agrees. His smile is brilliant, painful, full of hope I'm terrified to trust. We fight for 3. The healer gives me herbs for the nausea, a tonic to strengthen me, instructions to rest as much as possible and avoid shifting if I can. Then we're moving again, racing through the forest as dawn approaches. Every step I take, I'm aware of the life growing inside me. Every heartbeat, I'm aware that I'm fighting not just for kingdoms, but for the future of a child who doesn't yet know how much the world wants to kill them. We reach the coronation field as the sun breaks over the eastern mountains. Both councils are gathered, hundreds of shifters in formal dress. Castor stands on the platform where I was supposed to be crowned, Veyron beside him. They're mid-speech, announcing our deaths, calling for new rulers. Tragic loss of both heirs, Castor is saying. The mate bond drove them to madness. They attacked their own guards, forcing us to— Liar! My voice carries across the field, amplified by Alpha command. Every head turns. I step onto the sacred ground, Thorn at my side. Alara and Kieran flank us, weapons drawn. We're bloody, exhausted, barely standing. But we're alive, and we're together. The mate bond between us is visible now. Golden light connecting our wrists, bright enough that even the skeptics can't deny it. I place my free hand over my stomach in a gesture that's protective and deliberate. Let them see. Let them all see. Lord Castor, I call out. General Veyron, I charge you with high treason, with the murder of King Aldrich and Queen Maren Frostwood, with the murder of King Theron and Queen Isla Warbringer, with conspiracy to continue a war for profit, with attempting to murder the fated mates, chosen by the moon goddess herself. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Castor's face twists with rage. Lies, he spits. She's mad with the bond. Can't you see? We have proof. Thorn produces documents from inside his torn shirt. Financial records, correspondence, witness testimony from Marcus Thane before Captain Alara executed him for his crimes. Every detail of your conspiracy documented and sealed by the High Priestess's own hand. I watch understanding cross Castor's face, then calculation, then rage. He shifts. No warning, no formal challenge. Just a massive silver-gray wolf launching from the platform, claws extended, teeth bared, coming straight for my throat. But I'm ready. I shift too, not fully, just the alpha state between human and wolf, where strength triples and instincts sharpen. Meet him mid-leap. We crash together in a tangle of fur and fury, rolling across sacred ground. He's larger, older, more experienced, but I'm younger, faster, and I have 3 lives to protect instead of 1. I fight like I've never fought before. Every slash of claws, every snap of jaws, I'm thinking of my mother, my father, the child growing inside me, the mate bond that should have been the greatest gift of my life instead of a death sentence. Veyron shifts too, goes for Thorn, but Kieran intercepts, and suddenly it's chaos. Wolves everywhere. Alara coordinating the loyal guards to contain the crowd, to prevent this from becoming an all-out battle. The High Priestess standing at the center, her staff glowing with moon goddess light, holding the sacred ground intact. Castor gets his jaws around my throat. I feel teeth puncture skin, feel blood hot and fast. The mate bond screams, Thorn's terror flooding through me. But I don't panic. I go limp. Let Castor think he's won. Then I twist, use his own momentum against him, sink my claws into his exposed belly and rip. He howls, releases me. I'm on my feet before he can recover, shifting fully human now because I need hands for this. Need to look him in the eyes. I pick up my father's sword from where it fell in the grass. The blade that was supposed to execute my mate 3 days ago. The blade that's about to deliver justice instead. Castor shifts back to human, clutching his ruined stomach. Blood everywhere. He looks up at me, and for just a moment, I see fear. You killed my mother, I say quietly. You killed my father. You tried to kill my mate and my child. I raise the sword. This is for every daughter who trusted the wrong man. Every queen who died for another's greed. Every future that was stolen so you could profit from pain. The blade falls. Justice is delivered. I turn away before his body hits the ground. Across the field, Thorn has Veyron pinned. Kieran's knife at the traitor's throat. One quick slice, and it's done. Both conspirators dead. Both kingdoms free. Thorn shifts back to human. Crosses to me. We meet in the center of the Coronation field, both covered in blood that isn't ours, the mate bond blazing between us like a second sun. I reach for him. He reaches for me. When our hands clasp, the bond flares so bright everyone has to look away. The High Priestess steps forward. The moon goddess has spoken, she announces, her voice carrying. The prophecy is fulfilled. 2 alphas of enemy blood, bound by fate, will unite the kingdoms and end the war. The false shepherds have fallen. The true rulers stand before you. I take a breath, place my hand over my stomach again. Look out at 2 kingdoms that have been bleeding each other dry for generations. The war is over, I say. My voice doesn't shake, not because we're weak, but because we're stronger together than any enemy expected. I let them see my hand, the protective gesture. Let them understand. I carry the heir to both kingdoms, the child of Frostwood and Warbringer. The living proof that the moon goddess wanted us united, not divided. The prophecy is fulfilled. We are one. Silence, heavy, waiting. Then someone begins to clap. Slowly at first, then others join. Then suddenly the field is erupting in sound. Cheers, howls, the stamp of feet and clash of weapons in celebration. Thorn pulls me against him, buries his face in my hair. Through the bond, I feel everything he feels. Relief, joy, grief for what we lost, hope for what we're building. We did it, he whispers. We actually did it. We survived, I correct. Now comes the hard part. Actually ruling together, rebuilding what they destroyed, raising a child to inherit a kingdom that tried to kill us before we were born. He laughs. It's exhausted and slightly hysterical, but real. One crisis at a time, mon cœur. One crisis at a time, mon cœur, my heart. The name he called me in Paris when we were different people with different futures. I look up at him. At this man who is my mate, my partner, the father of my child, the co-ruler of kingdoms we didn't want. but we'll protect anyway. I love you, I tell him. First time I've said it out loud. First time I've let myself believe it might be true. I loved you in Paris when I didn't know your name. I loved you on that battlefield when I thought I had to kill you. I love you now, covered in blood and victory and the beginning of whatever comes next. I love you too. He kisses me. Right there in front of 2 kingdoms, covered in the blood of traitors. The mate bond singing between us. I've loved you for 3 years and 3 days, and I'll love you for 3,000 more if the goddess allows it. Around us, the celebration continues. But in this moment, in this breath, there's only us. 2 alphas who were supposed to be enemies. 2 mates who chose each other over everything else. 2 rulers who will build something better than what came before. And 1 tiny life, growing secret and sacred, who will inherit a kingdom born not from war, but from love. The war is over. The future begins now. 3 months have passed since the day I killed Lord Castor on sacred ground, since the blood of traitors watered the field of bones and turned it into something new. 3 months since I stood covered in victory and grief and announced to 2 warring kingdoms that the child growing inside me would inherit a united realm. 3 months since everything changed. My hand rests on the swell of my belly as I stand before the mirror in what used to be my mother's chambers. 6 months pregnant now, visibly showing in a way that makes it impossible to hide or deny. The baby kicks constantly, strong and insistent, reminding me every moment that I'm not just building a kingdom, I'm building a future that will outlive me. The coronation gown they've made for me is silver and gold, frostwood and warbringer colors woven together, designed to accommodate the life I carry. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It's everything I never knew I wanted. You're thinking too loud again, Thorn says from the doorway. He's already dressed in his ceremonial armor, black leather embossed with both pack crests. His dark hair is tied back, his silver eyes soft with concern as he crosses to me. I can feel it through the bond. The anxiety, the fear that something will go wrong. Everything could go wrong. I lean back against him, let him take some of my weight. The baby kicks again, harder this time, and Thorn's hand joins mine on my stomach. There are still families who lost people in the war, still soldiers who think peace is surrender. We're asking 2 kingdoms who've been killing each other for generations to suddenly be one big happy family. That's not going to happen overnight, he finishes. I know, but Anya, look at what we've already done. His other hand turns my face toward the window, toward the view of the castle grounds below. Frostwood and Warbringer banners fly side by side. Guards from both packs patrol together. In the courtyard, I can see children playing. Copper-haired Frostwood children and dark-haired Warbringer children, laughing together like the war never happened. It hasn't been easy. The first month after Castor's death was chaos. Families demanding justice for losses that couldn't be undone. Soldiers refusing to lay down arms. Nobles from both sides arguing over land rights, trade agreements, ancient grievances that went back centuries. Thorn and I spent weeks traveling between territories, listening to anger and grief and fear. We offered reparations to war widows. We established a truth council, where anyone could speak about their losses without fear of retribution. We rebuilt homes destroyed in battles. We created a joint military force with mixed units, forcing former enemies to train together, to rely on each other, to learn that the other side was just wolves trying to survive. Some accepted peace, some never will. 3 weeks ago, there was an assassination attempt. A Frostwood extremist, who thought I'd betrayed my parents' memory by mating with a Warbringer. Thorn took the blade meant for me, nearly died protecting us. The scar is still healing on his shoulder, a reminder that peace has a price we pay in blood and time. But we're still here, still standing, still building something worth the cost. I'm scared, I admit quietly. First time I've said it out loud. Not of today, but of everything. Being a good ruler, being a good mother, not failing the way our parents did. Thorn's voice is gentle. They didn't fail, mon coeur. They tried to build peace and were murdered for it. We're finishing what they started, honoring them by succeeding where they couldn't. Mon coeur, my heart. He still calls me that, even now, even after everything. The memory surfaces unbidden. Our last night in Paris, 3 years ago. We'd known for weeks that we had to return to our kingdoms, that whatever we'd built in stolen moments between ancient manuscripts and secret kisses would have to end. We met one final time in the library after midnight, surrounded by books that had witnessed our beginning. I don't even know your real name, I'd whispered, my face pressed against his chest, breathing in the scent of him because I was trying to memorize everything. I don't know where you're from, or what your life looks like, or if I'll ever see you again. Find me when the world allows it, he'd murmured into my hair. Somehow, someday, find me. I'll search every kingdom if I have to. My voice had broken on the promise. My heart is yours, nameless stranger. Even if we never meet again, it's yours. And mine is yours, mystery woman. He'd kissed me then, desperate and tender and full of goodbye. We'll find each other. I don't know how, but we will. The moon goddess wouldn't be cruel enough to give us this and then take it away forever. Except she was that cruel. She gave us 3 years of grief and war, and the belief that we'd lost each other. She made us enemies, made us aim weapons at each other's throats, made us suffer in ways I wouldn't wish on anyone. But she also kept her promise. We found each other. The world tried to stop us and failed. We kept our promises, I say now, turning in Thorn's arms. We found each other when the world allowed it. Or maybe we made the world allow it. We made the world allow it. His smile is crooked, beautiful. By refusing to die when convenient, by being too stubborn to accept the future they wanted for us, by choosing each other over everything else. He leans down, presses his forehead to mine. Ready to be crowned? Ready to be crowned with you. I take his hand. The mate bond flares between us, warm and steady and unbreakable, as equals, as partners, as mates who survived everything the world threw at us. Alpha Sovereign Anya Frostwood, he tests the title. Alpha Sovereign Thorn Warbringer, I return. Not king and queen, not ruler and consort, but equals. 2 alphas governing as one, the way the prophecy intended. The walk to the field of unity, what we've renamed the field of bones, takes longer than it should. I'm slow now, ungainly with pregnancy. My body changed in ways that still surprise me. But Thorn matches my pace, his hand steady at the small of my back. Captain Alara walks ahead of us, her armor polished to mirror brightness, the scar above her eye a badge of honor. Behind us, Kieran carries the ceremonial swords, his face still thin from months of imprisonment, but his smile genuine. The field has been transformed. Where blood once soaked the earth, flowers now grow, night-blooming jasmine planted by volunteers from both kingdoms. Where armies once faced each other across lines of hate, there's now a platform draped in silver and gold. 2 thrones that have been melted down and reforged into one, large enough for 2 rulers, beautiful enough for a ceremony that will be remembered for generations. Thousands have gathered, Frostwood and Warbringer, no longer separated but mixed together. I can see old soldiers standing beside former enemies, families who lost loved ones to the war, here to witness the peace those deaths bought. Children too young to remember the fighting, for whom this united kingdom is the only world they'll know. The High Priestess stands at the center, ancient and powerful, her staff topped with a crescent moon that glows in the afternoon light. She's the same woman who tried to stop my execution of Thorn, who held the sacred ground intact during the battle with Castor. She's the one who will crown us now, binding us not just as mates, but as rulers. We climb the steps to the platform. The crowd goes silent. Thousands of eyes on us. Some hopeful, some skeptical, some still angry. But they're here. They came. That's something. Who comes before the moon goddess to be crowned? The priestess asks, her voice carrying across the field. Anya Frostwood, I answer. Daughter of Aldrich and Marin, last of the Frostwood line, carrier of the heir to both kingdoms. Thorn Warbringer, he says beside me. Son of Theron and Isla, survivor of the Warbringer line, mate to the woman who will rule beside me. And what do you seek? We speak together, the words we've written ourselves, to serve the united realm, to rule with justice and mercy, to never let power corrupt us, the way it corrupted those before us, to raise our child knowing both heritages, both histories, both truths, to honor the dead by building something worth living for. The priestess nods, raises her staff. The moon goddess has chosen you. She has marked you as mates, bound you as partners, given you the child that will bridge 2 kingdoms. The prophecy is fulfilled. The false shepherds have fallen. The true rulers rise. She places the first crown on my head, lighter than my mother's, forged from silver and gold melted together. Then Thorn's crown, identical to mine, equal in every way. The moment the metal touches my skin, the mate bond explodes between us, visible to everyone now, golden light connecting our wrists, spreading across our chests, wrapping around us like the embrace of the goddess herself. The prophecy mark on both our wrists, the crescent moon, the 3 stars, the line that binds us, blazes so bright people have to shield their eyes. I feel Thorn through the bond more clearly than ever. His love, his pride, his absolute certainty that we can do this, that we can be what these kingdoms need. His awe at the life growing inside me, at the future we're building together. And then the baby kicks, hard, right against the inside of my ribs, as if protesting being ignored during such an important moment. I laugh, sudden and surprised, my hand flying to my stomach. Thorn! He's already there, his hand covering mine, pressing against the swell of my belly. I watch his face transform as he feels it. Our daughter moving, strong and insistent and alive. Tears spill down his cheeks. They're strong, he whispers, just loud enough for me to hear. Like their mother, like both their parents, I correct. Like every stubborn, impossible warrior wolf in both our bloodlines. The crowd erupts, cheers and howls and the stamp of thousands of feet. The celebration has begun. The feast lasts 3 days. Tables groan under food contributed by both kingdoms. Roasted venison from Warbringer forests, honey cakes from Frostwood apiaries, wine from vineyards that span the border we're erasing. Music fills the air, traditional songs from both cultures played together, creating something new. And dancing. So much dancing. Thorn insists on dancing with me despite my protests that I'm too pregnant, too tired, too ungainly. He holds me carefully, one hand on my waist and the other cradling my belly, swaying to music that's both familiar and foreign. I rest my head against his chest and let myself just be. Not a queen, not a warrior, just a woman dancing with the man she loves, carrying their child, surrounded by a kingdom that might actually survive. What are you thinking? He asks. That I'm happy. The words surprise me. I didn't think I'd ever get to say that again. After my parents died, after the crown was forced on me, I thought happiness was something other people got to feel. But I'm happy, Thorn. Terrified and exhausted, and constantly worried that something will go wrong. But happy. Good. He kisses my forehead. You deserve to be happy. We both do. Later, much later, when the celebration has finally quieted, and we've retreated to our shared chambers, Thorn helps me out of the coronation gown. His fingers are gentle on the laces, careful not to pull too tight across my swollen belly. We stand before the mirror together, 2 alphas, 2 warriors, 2 broken people who somehow found each other and became whole. I love you, I say, watching his reflection. I need you to know that, whatever happens, with the kingdom, with the baby, with everything, I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even when I thought you were the worst. I love you too. He turns me to face him, cups my face in his hands. You're my mate, my partner, my heart. Everything else is just details. We make love slowly, carefully, his hands reverent on my changed body. I'm self-conscious at first. My belly is huge now, my breasts swollen and tender, my body so different from the girl he made love to in Paris. But Thorn worships every inch of me, whispering how beautiful I am. How strong, how perfect. The mate bond sings between us, amplifying every touch until I'm drowning in sensation and love and the absolute certainty that this is right. This is what the goddess intended. Not the war, not the grief, but this. 2 people choosing each other, building a life together, creating something that will outlast them both. Afterward, we lie tangled together, his hand on my belly feeling the baby move. What do you think? He asks. Boy or girl? Girl. I've known for weeks, somehow. Intuition or magic, or just a mother's certainty. With copper hair and silver eyes, and her father's stubbornness. Her mother's strength, he counters. Her mother's courage. Her mother's refusal to accept the world as it is instead of how it should be. We'll name her after them, I say quietly. Our parents, both sets, so she knows where she comes from, and what they sacrificed so she could exist. Marin, Thorn suggests. After your mother, and Aldara, after yours. I lace my fingers through his. Marin Aldara, Frostwood Warbringer, heir to the United Realm, daughter of peace, living proof that love is stronger than hate. Perfect, he whispers. She's going to be perfect. 3 months later, I learn that childbirth is the opposite of perfect. The storm hits at midnight, spring thunder shaking the castle walls, rain lashing the windows like claws. I wake to pain, sharp, consuming, radiating from my belly outward in waves that make me cry out. Thorn is awake instantly, the mate bond flooding him with my distress. "The baby," I gasp. "Thorn, I know. I've got you." He's already moving, calling for the healer, helping me to the birthing room that's been prepared for weeks. "Just breathe. I'm right here." The labor is long, endless, pain unlike anything I've experienced in battle or training or any of the physical trials of being an alpha. Waves of agony that crest and crash and leave me gasping, only to build again moments later. The healer guides me through it. When to push, when to breathe, when to draw on the mate bond for strength. Thorn refuses to leave despite tradition that says fathers wait outside. He holds my hand, lets me crush his fingers during contractions, wipes sweat from my face, whispers encouragement even when I curse him for getting me pregnant in the first place. "I'm never doing this again," I snarl during one particularly brutal contraction. "That's fine," he says, completely serious. "One is enough. You're doing so well, mon coeur. So strong. I'm dying. I'm literally dying. You're not dying. You're bringing life into the world. There's a difference. I hate you. I know. I love you too." Hours pass, or maybe days. Time loses meaning when your body is tearing itself apart to create something new. The storm rages outside, thunder punctuating my screams, lightning illuminating the room in stark flashes. The healer says something about the baby's position, about one more push, about crowning, and then pressure and pain, and the overwhelming need to push, to get this child out of me, to meet the daughter we've been building our entire future around. One final push, one last scream, the feeling of something leaving my body, the sudden absence of weight I've carried for 9 months. Then a cry, sharp and indignant, and absolutely perfect. "It's a girl," the healer announces, tears streaming down her face. "A healthy daughter, copper hair and silver eyes, just like you predicted, Your Majesty." They place her on my chest, this tiny screaming miracle, and the world stops. She's perfect, red-faced and furious, and covered in blood, and absolutely perfect. Copper red hair plastered to her skull, silver eyes that can't quite focus yet, but are open and alert. The perfect blend of Frostwood and Warbringer, the physical proof that love is stronger than hate. "Marin," I whisper, touching her impossibly tiny hand. "Marin Aldara Frostwood Warbringer. Welcome to the world, little one. We've been waiting for you." Thorn is crying openly, his hand covering both of mine where they cradle our daughter. "She's beautiful. His voice breaks completely. "Thank you. Thank you for her. Thank you for everything." Outside, the storm is breaking, the thunder fading, the rain gentling to a whisper, and through the windows, we can hear it, the howls of celebration. Word has spread that the heir is born, both kingdoms celebrating together the child who represents everything we've fought for. The healer takes Marin to clean her, to swaddle her in blankets embroidered with both pack crests. Thorn helps me into a clean gown, supports me as I move to the bed. I'm exhausted, wrung out, every muscle aching, but I'm also more at peace than I've ever been. When they bring Marin back, she's asleep, her tiny face relaxed and impossibly beautiful. Thorn sits beside me on the bed, wraps his arms around us both, his mate and his daughter, his entire world contained in this one moment. I think about the girl I was in Paris, 25 years old, hiding in libraries, falling in love with a nameless stranger, believing that happiness was something temporary and stolen. I think about the woman I became after my parents died, hardened, angry, carrying the weight of a kingdom and vengeance I didn't want. I think about standing on a battlefield, ready to execute the man I loved because duty demanded it. And I think about who I am now, queen of a united realm, mother to a daughter who will never know the war we ended, mate to a man who sees me as an equal, a partner, a person worth choosing every day, warrior who learned that vulnerability isn't weakness, that asking for help isn't surrender, that love is the strongest weapon of all. I collapsed during my forced coronation and woke in the arms of the enemy prince I'd sworn to destroy. Turns out, he wasn't my enemy at all. He was my destiny, and our daughter will inherit a kingdom where love won the war that hate started. Outside, both kingdoms celebrate the birth of peace. Inside, I hold my daughter close and let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we've built something that will last. The future begins now, and it's beautiful.